Here at VaultWise, we get into arguments about the magic retirement number all the time. Some say $1 million, some say $3 million. Your brother-in-law who dabbles in crypto probably says something completely unhinged, but $2 million, that's the number that keeps showing up as the sweet spot between technically enough and actually comfortable. And today, we are going to find out if that's true. What does retirement with a $2 million portfolio actually look like? Not the Instagram version where you're sipping a mojito on a yacht, the real version. I'm your host, and welcome back to VaultWise, where we go deep on all of it. Look, I know some of you clicked on this video because you've been lying awake at 2 a.m. staring at the ceiling, doing math in your head that doesn't quite add up yet. Maybe you're 38 and you've got $80,000 saved and you're trying to figure out if you're already behind. Maybe you're 54 and you just crossed $400,000 and you're wondering, is it even possible from here? Or maybe you're one of the quiet ones, the ones who've actually done it, who've got the number sitting in the account and you're still not sure if it's enough. This video is for all of you. The income, the taxes, the spending, the actual lifestyle. By the end of this video, you'll either feel incredibly motivated or mildly anxious. Honestly, probably a little of both. Let's get into it. First, let's establish the rules of the game, because $2 million sitting in a savings account earning 0.01% interest at your grandma's bank is not the same as $2 million in a well-invested portfolio. And I say this not to make you feel bad. I say it because I've watched too many people work their whole lives, stack a solid number, and then leave it sitting somewhere it can't breathe. That is heartbreaking, and it's completely avoidable. We're talking about $2 million that's actually working for you, invested in a diversified mix of index funds, maybe some bonds, possibly some real estate exposure, the whole shebang. Using the 4% withdrawal rule, which if you've been hanging around VaultWise for a while, you already know it, that's $80,000 annually. $80,000 annually without ever punching a clock again. I'll give you a second to let that land. Close your eyes for just a moment and imagine it. No alarm, no commute, no inbox full of emails from Karen in accounting. Just you. A Tuesday morning, coffee getting cold on the porch because you got distracted watching the birds. That is what $80,000 a year buys. Not a yacht, not a Rolls Royce, but time, the most valuable thing on earth. Now, before you go running off to submit your resignation letter, hold on. We've got way more to unpack. And trust me, what's coming next, it changes everything. Here's the thing most people completely gloss over. Where your money is stashed matters just as much as how much you have. And for most folks approaching retirement, their $2 million is going to be split across a few very different buckets. This is the part where most finance videos show you a pie chart and call it a day. VaultWise is going to show you what each of those slices feels like in real life. Bucket number 1, tax-deferred accounts, your 401k and traditional IRA. This is probably the biggest chunk for the average American retiree, and for good reason. Here's the deal that makes these accounts so powerful on the front end. Every single dollar you contribute goes in before the IRS touches it, and all of it, your contributions, your employer match, every last penny of growth, compounds for decades completely untaxed. You get to feel like a genius every year when you see that number growing. And honestly, you should feel like a genius because you made the right call. The catch? The IRS isn't forgiving that bill. They're deferring it. Money goes in pre-tax, it grows tax-deferred, and when you pull it out in retirement, surprise, you owe income tax. That sick feeling in your stomach right now? That's normal. Most people feel it the first time they really understand this. Uncle Sam has been waiting patiently for decades for his cut, and retirement? That's when he finally shows up to collect. Uninvited, on your best day, like a distant relative at Thanksgiving who you forgot existed. The good news? In retirement, you're likely in a lower tax bracket than when you were working, which means you effectively got a discount. You avoided taxes at a high rate while earning, and you pay them back at a lower rate in retirement. That's the whole game. The potentially annoying news: every dollar you withdraw from a traditional 401k still counts as ordinary income. Pull out $80,000 and you're looking at federal income tax, potentially state income tax, and you might even start losing access to certain tax credits. It's like retirement is a video game and taxes are the final boss that never actually goes away. And speaking of game changers, what comes next is the account type that most people are criminally underusing. Bucket number 2, Roth accounts, the tax-free party. Now, if you were smart, or if you've had VaultWise guiding you along the way, you also have money stashed in a Roth IRA or Roth 401k. And if you don't have a Roth yet, I need you to really pay attention here, because this next part is going to make you feel one of two things: either deeply grateful that you already have one, or deeply determined to open one this week. The Roth works the opposite way from a traditional 401k. You contribute after-tax dollars, meaning you pay your income taxes first, up front, before a single dollar goes in. No deduction, no tax break today. And at first, that stings a little. You're watching your take-home pay get smaller while your coworker brags about his traditional 401k tax write-off, and you're sitting there thinking, am I doing this right? Yes, you are doing it right. Because here's the trade-off that makes this account borderline magical. Since you already paid the IRS on the way in, they have zero claim on the way out. This money grows completely tax-free and comes out in retirement completely tax-free. No income tax, none, zero, zilch. Imagine being 68 years old, pulling $50,000 out of your Roth account and owing the government absolutely nothing on it. That feeling, that right there is financial peace. That is what decades of smart decisions look like. This is hands down the most powerful retirement tool available to regular Americans, and it is criminally underused. If you've got a chunk of your $2 million in Roth accounts, you have serious flexibility in retirement, because you can control exactly what your taxable income looks like year to year. But wait, there's a third bucket, and this one, most people don't even think about it strategically. Bucket number 3, taxable brokerage accounts. This is your regular investment account. No fanfare, no fancy tax wrapper, just you, your money, and the market. No special tax treatment on contributions, but long-term capital gains are taxed at a lower rate than ordinary income. If you hold investments for a year before selling, you pay 0%, 15%, or 20% depending on your income. Now here's something that genuinely makes experienced investors smile when they figure it out. For most retirees with moderate income, long-term capital gains can be taxed at 0%. You heard that right, 0. That quiet satisfaction you feel right now? Hold on to it. It's earned. For most retirees, this can actually be extremely tax efficient, especially if you're strategic about which accounts you draw from first. The ideal portfolio at retirement? A mix of all three. You want flexibility. You want to be able to say, this year I'll pull from my Roth because my other income is high, or this year I'll harvest some capital gains at the 0% rate because my income is low enough. That kind of tax planning isn't just for accountants with fancy degrees and corner offices. It's the kind of move that a regular person makes, a VaultWise person makes, when they refuse to leave money on the table. It's the difference between keeping $80,000 and keeping like $68,000 after taxes. Now here's where I think most retirement content completely misses the mark. They show you the spreadsheet, but not the life. So let's paint a picture. You retired with $2 million. You're withdrawing $80,000 a year. After federal taxes, assuming a fairly normal tax situation, you're probably taking home somewhere around $68,000 to $72,000 per year in actual spending money. Let's call it $70,000 to keep the math clean. That's about $5,833 per month. Now, is that rich? No. Is that traveling the world first class and eating at Michelin-starred restaurants every single night? Absolutely not. But is it genuinely comfortable? 100% yes, in most parts of the country. And I want you to feel that for a second. Here's what that monthly budget could actually look like. Housing, $1,200 to $1,500. If you own your home outright, this is just taxes, insurance, and maintenance. That is a huge emotional weight off your shoulders. You are home. Nobody can take that from you. Food, $600 to $800. Actual groceries and a reasonable amount of dining out. You're retired, not incarcerated. Order the steak. You've earned it. Healthcare, $800 to $1,200. This is the one that surprises people and honestly makes some folks feel a little sick. If you retire before Medicare kicks in at 65, private health insurance is genuinely expensive. We'll talk more about this. Don't panic yet. Transportation, $400 to $600. Car payments, insurance, gas, or if you've paid off the car, just the running costs. That feeling of a paid-off car, incredible, absolutely underrated. Travel and leisure, $600 to $800. This is where retirement gets fun. Road trips, visits to the grandkids, maybe a cruise that doesn't feel embarrassingly cheap. This is your reward category. Protect it fiercely. Utilities and subscriptions, $300 to $400. Yes, you will have too many streaming services. Don't lie to yourself. We all do it. Miscellaneous buffer, $300, because the water heater doesn't care that you're retired. Life keeps happening. Budget for it, and you'll never be blindsided. That's roughly $4,200 to $5,700 per month, which means at $5,833 a month, you have breathing room. Not luxury breathing room, but real, meaningful financial peace. That feeling where you know the bills are covered and there's still a little left over, that's not just math, that's a weight lifted. A weight most Americans carry for decades without ever setting it down. And here's the thing people forget. In retirement, a lot of your biggest expenses just disappear. No more saving for retirement, obviously. No more payroll taxes, no more work clothes or commuting costs, no more buying lunch because your boss scheduled the 12:30 meeting and you somehow convinced yourself that was a normal thing to do for 30 years. The relief of those disappearing expenses is real, and it hits different when it finally happens. But there's one more variable that completely changes this entire equation for most people. We have to talk about Social Security, because for most people, this is the wild card that reshuffles everything. And I'll be honest with you, Social Security is one of those topics that makes people feel emotions they didn't expect. Some people feel relieved when they hear what they're entitled to. Some people feel cheated when they realize how the timing works. Stick with me here. The strategy makes all the difference. Here's the deal. If you retire at 62, you can start collecting Social Security, but the benefit is reduced permanently compared to waiting until your full retirement age, which is 67 for most people born after 1960. And if you wait until 70, your benefit goes up by about 8% per year for every year you delay past full retirement age. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. What if I don't make it to 70? That fear is real. That question is valid. And it's one reason this decision is so deeply personal. But here's the math for our $2 million retiree. Let's say you're 65 with $2 million invested. Instead of pulling the full $80,000 right away, you draw $60,000 to $65,000 for a couple of years, knowing that at 67, Social Security kicks in at roughly $24,000 annually. That's $2,000 every month, like a tenant who always pays on time and never complains about anything. From that point, your portfolio only needs to cover the gap between your Social Security check and your total desired spending. We're talking $40,000 to $50,000 a year in withdrawals instead of $80,000. That one shift alone can extend the life of your portfolio from 30 years to potentially 40 or 50. And if you're married, 2 checks, 2 earners worth of benefits. Suddenly, $2 million stops looking comfortable and starts looking genuinely bulletproof. There is something deeply emotional about knowing that 2 checks are going to show up every single month for the rest of your lives. It's not just financial, it's the feeling of, we made it, we planned, and the plan is actually working. The takeaway here? Social Security is not a rounding error. It's a massive piece of the retirement puzzle, and coordinating when you claim it with how you draw down your portfolio is one of the highest value decisions you'll ever make in retirement. Don't leave this on autopilot. Now, before you get too comfortable, we need to talk about the risks, because I would not be doing my job at VaultWise if I just told you, $2 million, you're fine, go buy a boat. There are real risks to plan for, and I want to walk through the big 3. Risk number 1, sequence of returns risk. This one sounds nerdy, but it is genuinely terrifying, and I don't use that word lightly. Here's the scenario. You retire, the market drops 40% in year 1, and you're still withdrawing $80,000. Picture this. It's your first January of freedom. You wake up excited, no alarm, coffee's brewing, you check your portfolio app, and your $2 million is now $1.2 million. That gut drop feeling, that sequence of returns risk hitting you in real time. You are now selling shares at the absolute worst time while prices are low, and permanently reducing the number of shares you have left to recover when the market bounces back. The 4% rule accounts for this historically, but it doesn't mean it won't be stressful as heck to watch your $2 million turn into $1.2 million in year 1 of retirement. Having a cash buffer, 1 to 2 years of living expenses in a high-yield savings account means you don't have to touch your investments during a downturn. You just sip your coffee, watch the market panic, and wait, calmly, because you planned for this moment. And that calm, that's not luck, that's preparation. Risk number 2, healthcare costs. I'm going to say this clearly. Healthcare is the biggest wild card in American retirement planning, and it causes more sleepless nights than any other line item on the budget. If you retire before 65, you're paying full private health insurance premiums until Medicare kicks in. Budget generously here, like embarrassingly generously. The number will probably make you wince. Budget for it anyway. Your future self, the one who doesn't have to borrow money for a medical bill, will thank you. Risk number 3, inflation. $2 million sounds great in today's dollars, but if inflation runs at 3% per year, which is historically pretty normal, your purchasing power gets cut roughly in half over 24 years. That $80,000 withdrawal today needs to be $160,000 in about 24 years just to buy the same stuff. Let that one sit for a second, because it's uncomfortable, and it should be uncomfortable. Discomfort is what pushes people to act. This is why it's critical to keep your portfolio in growth assets, primarily stocks, even in retirement. The old move everything to bonds advice is outdated for people who could live another 30 years. You need growth. You just need to balance it with enough stability to sleep at night. Knowledge of the risks isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to arm you. And now, you're armed. And now, the question everyone has been waiting for. Who is $2 million actually enough for? Let's be honest about something. $2 million is not a universal answer. And I think one of the most painful things in personal finance is when someone hits their number, hits the goal they've been chasing for decades, and then realizes it might not stretch as far as they thought in the city they live in. That is a real emotional gut punch, and it deserves a real honest conversation. It depends enormously on where you live, what your lifestyle looks like, and what you actually want retirement to feel like. If you're retiring in San Francisco or New York City, $80,000 a year is going to feel tight. Like rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan is $4,000 a month. That's almost your entire budget just for housing. And the city doesn't care about your retirement plan. It doesn't negotiate. For high cost of living cities, you either need significantly more than $2 million, or you need to be willing to relocate. And for some people, that relocation is the retirement plan. A fresh chapter, a new city, lower costs, a different pace of life. That's not a consolation prize. For a lot of people, it's actually better. If you're retiring in Asheville, NC, or Boise, Idaho, or Sarasota, Florida, or honestly most of the middle and southeastern United States, $80,000 a year is a genuinely great income. You can own a nice home, eat out regularly, travel a few times a year, and still feel financially secure. $2 million in a lower cost of living area is legitimately life-changing money. The same dollar buys you more dignity, more comfort, and more peace. And if you're someone who has a paid-off house by the time you retire, the math gets even better. Eliminating a mortgage or rent payment saves $1,500 to $3,000 for a lot of people. That emotional freedom, knowing the roof over your head is yours, is almost impossible to put a price on. That changes the entire trajectory of what $2 million can do for you. The honest answer? $2 million is enough for a comfortable, secure, meaningful retirement for a wide range of Americans. But it's not set for life, no worries ever again money, and pretending otherwise would be doing you a disservice. You still need to be smart about spending. You still need to plan for health care. You still need to not make catastrophically dumb decisions with your money in year one of retirement. I'm not naming any names, but we all know someone who retired and immediately bought a boat and a vacation condo simultaneously. 1 month later, they're back on LinkedIn. Don't be that guy. Okay, I know some of you watching right now are nowhere near the $2 million yet, and you're wondering, cool, this is helpful, but how do I actually build this? And I want to say something to you directly before I give you the quick version. The fact that you're here, watching this video, asking this question, means you are already ahead of most people. Most people never even think about this stuff until it's almost too late. You're thinking about it now. That matters more than you know. Quick version. Invest consistently in tax-advantaged accounts, 401k, IRA, Roth IRA, starting as early as humanly possible. Index funds, low fees. Don't try to beat the market, because the data is brutally clear that most people who try to beat the market actually just pay more in fees and underperform. Keep your savings rate as high as you can reasonably sustain without making yourself miserable. Life is happening right now. Save aggressively and live with intention. Both are possible. If you invest $2,000 a month starting at age 30 and earn an average of 8% per year, which is roughly the historical real return of the U.S. stock market, you'll hit $2 million right around age 57. Do the same thing starting at 25, you're there by 52. Time is the unfair advantage that most people waste by waiting. Every year you delay, the mountain gets a little steeper. Every year you start, it gets a little easier. And that brings us to the truth that most people don't realize until much, much later. $2 million isn't really about yachts, luxury, or showing off. It's not even about being rich in the way people imagine. What it really buys you is control. Control over your time, your mornings, your decisions. It's the ability to wake up because you want to, not because you have to. Think about the last Sunday evening you felt that low-grade dread creeping in, that quiet anxiety before the week starts, the weight of knowing you have to be somewhere tomorrow whether you like it or not. $2 million is the number that makes that feeling optional. That $80,000 a year isn't just income, it's freedom in disguise. It's sleeping better at night knowing your life isn't tied to a job you can't stand. It's not having that quiet anxiety on a Sunday evening, counting down to Monday morning. It's being able to say yes to the things that matter and no to the things that don't without asking anyone for permission. It's showing up at your grandkids' school play on a Wednesday afternoon because you can, because nobody owns your Wednesday anymore. It's calling your best friend at noon on a Tuesday just to grab lunch and not checking your email once. That is the retirement $2 million can build. Not flashy, but full. And honestly, that kind of freedom is worth far more than any version of wealth people try to sell you online. That is exactly why we built VaultWise, to cut through the noise and give you the real numbers, the real strategies, and the real life that's waiting on the other side of smart financial decisions. If this video helped you see your retirement picture a little more clearly, smash that like button. It genuinely helps VaultWise grow more than you know. Drop a comment below and tell us, what's your retirement number? Are you aiming for $2 million? More? Less? And where are you in the journey right now? Let's talk about it down there. Real answers, real community. And if you haven't subscribed to VaultWise yet, hit that subscribe button right now, because every week we drop content exactly like this, designed to help you build wealth, make smarter decisions, and actually live the life you've been working toward. You've already taken the first step just by watching this far. Don't stop now. I'll see you in the next one. VaultWise. Build wealth, live free.